Following their recent collaboration for a suicide prevention charity, Gary Numan has invited Officers to perform on his UK machine music tour. Numan has described the band's support slot as one of the most exciting things about this tour. We've come to their show in Sheffield to find out just what's brought these two sonic forces together.
Okay, well, song-wise, I mean, it was something which we kind of started to put together, hadn't it, in kind of demo form. We wanted to kind of do a collaboration, and obviously, after kind of doing an XFM show with Eddy Morris, Matt and myself were kind of doing a bit of a sound clash, and we actually kind of, well, Matt dropped his AIDS mix, wasn't it?
We played, yeah, AIDS remix of Melt, and as soon as we played it, Eddy was like, oh, Gary Numan,
yeah,
he's going to love you guys. So
we just kind of started, you know,
so it started
get
from there,
Gary,
really.
And then some of his listeners kind of all started tweeting in this kind of really nice kind of organic campaign, really, and kind of got the album to Gary, and luckily for us, kind of seemed to really like it, and then.
I liked it a bit. It's my best album of the year, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, quite liked it.
No, so it was fantastic, really. So then, once we sort of established that Gary was sort of open to a collaboration, then we began to sort of like put a bit more onto it, and I kind of finished the vocals off a little bit, wrote the lyrics, and then we passed it to Gary, and he did his magic. So it was unbelievable, really. And then obviously we've done it as a 3 CD package. With three of our long-term supporters, Jags Cooner, Eddy Morris and Tom from the Cooper Temple Claws, for them to do a remix, and then we tied it in with Stuart Semple, who is a good friend of Jamie's from years ago. So it was kind of a...
It was really nice. It was really important to us that, I mean, we were talking about it just the other day, that as a collaboration it kind of happened for the right reasons, and it was really organic, and that to us has always been kind of really important. We've kind of, through the kind of process, through us been doing Officers, there's been a few moments where people said, oh, you should do this because it's good for you, or you should do this because it will mean it, and we've never kind of trodden that kind of path. Every time we've done anything that anyone said, you know, this would be good, it's always gone completely wrong. We've always done what we wanted to do for the right reasons. And everybody's kind of been involved in it for the love of it and put a lot of time and effort into it, and it's just been a really nice thing to do. So to kind of then try and capitalise on that, it was, you know, for us really. So that's why we've kind of, Eddy made us aware of the charity Calm, and it just seemed really nice that for the tour to kind of give it away for what it was, you know. Well, Calm is a charity. It was actually Eddy Morris who made us aware of it. He's highly involved with that charity, and it was set up in response to a high suicide rate in young males aged 35 and under. Obviously things like depression and bereavement and things affect people a lot of times in their life, especially with, you know, young males, but there's a certain stigma attached to that, and it's quite difficult to talk about. And so this charity was set up, originally it was a government pilot set up by the Department of Health, and Tony Wilson kind of helped to make it a charity in 2004, I think. But as a charity, the exposure they get is very minimal, and it costs them such an amount of money to kind of keep the phone lines open for just 4 days a week. And Eddy was kind of telling us all about this, and we were kind of like, right, it's not necessarily, you know, just the money, it's the exposure. So anything that we can do to kind of raise awareness of that is obviously a really important thing to do.
But it was obviously myself and Jamie have both suffered from varying degrees with mental health problems over the years, so obviously we know how it feels to be in the situation where you're slightly ashamed of how you're feeling, and you kind of feel very alone. By the sort of very premise of the illness is that you get very insular and you often feel very alone. So it's, you know, that was really important for us to sort of you know, we have a connection with the charity as well ourselves, you know, so it was very personal. So you know, I think it's great.
On you know, the ultimate serious note, you know, kind of, I think people who are kind of touched by suicide in any kind of form, it's not just, you know, the people who are, you know, affected and who are left, you know, it's the families who are left as well. We can't kind of offer support to those, you know, to those people in that position as well.
I think I was about 12 the first time I heard Cars, and my dad was playing it in the car, and just instantly, as soon as the lead string line just kicked in, it just instantly, at that age, just made me feel so, it made me feel amazing. And I think for me, to be that aware of something at that age, it's something very special. And it kind of made me want to learn how to play something that was so emotive and so cool and so new sounding and fresh sounding. Even then, you know, it was probably 93, no, 94, maybe that was. Even then, you know, it was that was kind of what inspired me to start experimenting with synthesizers, drum machines and vocals, and not just kind of accepting the sort of norm of going into a recording studio with an engineer and him saying this is actually the right way to do it. Yeah, and I was going, it is the right way to do it, but I kind of really like the way it sounds through that pedal. And it kind of, you know, you can't really play a synthesizer without tipping your cap to Gary, really. As far as I'm concerned. So for me, that was where it started.
I think for me, it's probably the same kind of thing. My dad.
Your dad was a huge fan, wasn't he?
Yeah, and kind of all electronic music, and really, you know, from growing up, from really young, you know, kind of hearing that kind of, you know, those sounds, and, you know, also, you know, the bands that obviously Gary had kind of influenced as well. As you were growing up and you start kind of being given things, you can start to, as a musician, pick out where people have got their influences from and kind of pull that back. And yeah, my mum was actually saying to me the other day, because she was obviously really proud that kind of we're doing the tour and the collaboration, and picked out these pictures of me and stuff, playing this kind of polyphonic Bon Tempi thing, trying to play along to the records and stuff. So it's quite, you know, it's quite nice to kind of be reminded of those memories. It's kind of been a constant thing, really, in Gary's music, obviously, in our influences and kind of growing up.
I'd just like to say that it's just a really humbling and amazing experience to be here, and we're honoured, literally honoured to be here. And hopefully, I don't know, maybe our paths will cross again in the future. That would be my dream. So.
No, I'm very proud to have him. Very proud. It's said to you before, it's a very rare thing to find a new band that is that good, straight out the box, and to be involved with them, and the single that we've done together. It's the most brilliant song. I mean, my favourite collaboration I've ever done in all the years I've been doing it. So I'm genuinely proud to be a part of it, and I hope more than anything that it works out for them and takes them where they deserve to be.